Sarah is 30 years old and she's just been asked to be a bridesmaid. But instead of feeling honoured, she's terrified. Instead of picturing herself in a beautiful dress, enjoying this special day, all she can think about is being trapped in a church, surrounded by people, and terrified that she's going to have an accident. Instead of imagining this wonderful day she's going to be a part of, she can only imagine being unable to find a bathroom in time and the panic that she would feel. Not to mention the pain, that awful, agonising, cramping pain that can bring her to tears. And then there's Mark, who's recently been promoted at work and has an awful, embarrassing problem that he keeps a secret. Mark suffers from chronic constipation. Before he leaves for work in the mornings, he spends at least an hour trying to have a bowel movement. He schedules his meetings around his gut and the bathroom, and is now stressed out and anxious about the extra work commitments and the travel and what that would mean for him. Instead of feeling excited about the promotion, he now wishes that it had never happened, he'd never been offered it, and he's already thinking about excuses about how to turn down upcoming events. Now, if either one of these stories sound familiar to you, then you might have IBS. So what is IBS? Well, irritable bowel syndrome is a condition in which people experience recurrent abdominal pain, on average at least 4 days a month or once a week, along with a change in how often they pass a bowel movement and or a change in the form of the bowel movement itself. And for many people, the pain or discomfort is often associated with and is often relieved by defecation. In fact, the top 4 symptoms of IBS are 1, abdominal pain, this cramping which can often be described as having your insides twisted or an intense stabbing pain. Number 2 is a change in bowel habit, whether this is constipation predominant or diarrhea predominant or a mixture of the two. And then thirdly, bloating, which can leave you feeling full, feeling swollen, and can feel incredibly uncomfortable. And then 4, a sudden urge to have a bowel movement, which can leave you in a panic to find the closest toilet. Now, your experience of these symptoms can differ from other IBS sufferers, and they can also vary on a day-to-day basis. And during flare-ups, your symptoms will be a lot worse. Now, in addition to these symptoms, IBS can also be associated with fatigue, with headaches, nausea, excess gas, heartburn, and a change in appetite. And the interesting thing about many of these symptoms is that people who don't have IBS or any other gastrointestinal disorder or GI disorder can experience them too. What this means is that there's a big range in what people consider normal in terms of their bowel habits. But what really sets those apart who have IBS from those who don't is the severity and the frequency of their symptoms. Another important element is also how distressing these symptoms are and how much they are impacting the quality of your life. So now we've covered the symptoms associated with IBS, how do you know if you have it? Well, unfortunately, IBS is often hard to diagnose, and there are 2 main reasons for this. Firstly, 2 of the main symptoms are abdominal pain and diarrhea, which are also common to other GI disorders, such as inflammatory bowel disease. And the second reason is that there isn't actually a test for it. So an IBS diagnosis is really a diagnosis of exclusion, where blood tests, stool samples, different scans and scopes are used to rule out more serious conditions. And if you'd like to learn more about the tests that your doctor might send you for, then you can check out my video, 5 tests to diagnose IBS, which is linked on your screen right now. In fact, one of the most confusing and frustrating things about getting an IBS diagnosis is that many of your test results come back as normal. And I often say to my clients that if they could somehow look inside of their digestive tract and their gut and their bowel, they would see everything looking pretty normal. And this is because in the case of IBS, there's actually no physical or structural abnormality or issue. This is why IBS used to be classified as what we call a functional GI disorder, because the only problem that doctors could identify was that the GI system just wasn't functioning normally. Thankfully, we now have a much greater understanding of IBS and what's happening beneath the surface, which has led to IBS being considered a disorder of the gut-brain interaction. Simply put, that means that your brain, part of your central nervous system, and your gut, your enteric nervous system, are just not communicating with each other as they should. In fact, they're incorrectly amplifying, which means increasing the pain signals and sending messages back and forth that are increasing the pain and also causing things like bloating and cramping and that tightening sensation and other problems that lead to urgency, discomfort, constipation, and diarrhea. Now, if you're new to the gut-brain connection or the gut-brain interaction, then I highly recommend checking out my video, Is Your Gut-Brain Connection Faulty? And again, this is linked on your screen now. This video will really help you to understand the involvement of your nervous system when it comes to IBS. Now, because of the overlap of symptoms between IBS and other medical conditions, some of them serious, it's important for me to talk about a couple of the red flags for you to keep an eye out for. So if you experience any of these symptoms, these are not related to IBS, and you should speak to your doctor as soon as possible. So if you see blood in the toilet bowl or when wiping, or you notice a mass or swelling in your abdominal area, or you experience unexplained weight loss. So please don't self-diagnose and make sure you discuss all of your symptoms with your doctor. Now, a really great resource that I have for you if you're wanting to understand more about your IBS and your symptoms is my ultimate guide to IBS flare-ups, which you can download by just clicking the link below. This guide will give you some really useful insights into what's happening and why it's happening, and most importantly, the steps that you can take to start getting relief. And one of the main areas with IBS, which is also covered in this free guide, is to address how you manage stress in your life. And this following video will help you take that a step further and look at the vicious cycle of IBS, stress and anxiety, and why you may be noticing a flare-up of your symptoms at certain times. So as always, if you've got questions or comments, let me know down below. As many of you know, I always reply to each one. So that's it for today. I hope you found this video helpful, and for more videos on managing your IBS symptoms and living your life on your terms and not your bowels, then make sure you are subscribed to this channel.